is. You're not supposed to say it. Not that somebody asked to be attacked. I don't think we're talking here about people who were severely physical. I don't know. I don't know the facts of the case. These are more of, it's kind of like either a consensual or maybe non-consensual through being knocked out or whatever it is. But we're not talking about somebody whose eyes are shut, they're in a hospital and they're on a ventilator. And I don't think we're talking about that. And I understand you don't have to have that. But we're talking about people who went out of their way, many of them, to sneak into these parties, to be a part of this, that means something. Is this what we're going after? We got cases of kids and women and people who some of them have never gotten out of a coma, who have medical bills and the most horrific of injuries. And we also live in a country where the particular kits, the kits that people use, I don't want to say the word, but in order to collect samples, they're lost. And we're going after Diddy? No, I mean, these women did not, bribe doormen to let them in. I'm not trying to dismiss it, but Sean, we have to weigh the realities. We have to be realistic about this.
So, Montu, thanks for the super chat. The case was dismissed because Busby didn't want sanctions. Eventually, Jay-Z still sued him for $100 million. Jay-Z dropped his sanctions to allow dismiss.
Well, sanctions are, when I hear sanctions there's two kinds of sanctions. Sanction means some type of penalty, either by the bar association, the people that hold your ticket, so to speak, or by the court itself. And last time, remember when Spiro, the lawyer, did the motion to dismiss, the judge went crazy at him. How dare you? And Spiro said, well, I want to get rid of this anonymous juror. There's nothing wrong with him, anonymous juror. Anonymous jurors are great. How dare you? And oh my God, I thought, wow, she just went like this to Spiro. And I thought, well, Busby's going to take this as I'm doing great. So I don't know.
Lionel was so right about these cases from the start. He walked us through the process from the point of view of the defense at times, but he was right about how easy it would be to dismiss. And people held that against you at the time, Lionel. They thought you were supporting heinous crimes when really you were just saying, here's what's likely to happen based on your experience.
Story of my life. We had a case here, a terrible case. This woman named Casey Anthony, who was charged with killing her daughter, Kaylee Anthony, drowning or what. And I said she's going to be found not guilty because there's no proof. How dare you? I didn't say she didn't do it. I said you can't prove it. Think about it. It's like sleight of hand. Did it work? Did the trick work? Was there prestidigitation? I'm not talking about that. But I will tell you one thing, and I hope these people do realize this. I hope Jay-Z and Diddy eventually get together and hold a forum for young folks who are in the business and say, if they came after me, they'll come after you. And you better watch this. You better never have parties. You better have witnesses. You better have security. They are gunning for you. They are coming after you. And there are women, and I hate to say this, and I'm not saying any of the women involved in this case were, but there are predators who want nothing more than to lure some idiot into this and have them. Do you have any idea of how many cases are filed or paid or settled out of court? And it basically amounts to extortion and blackmail. This is the biggest money in the world. Do you have any idea? Cases you'll never hear about. Never hear about. It's ridiculous, and it's sad.
You're getting asked about the ASAP Rocky case.
Let me see this one. Let me see what what is the latest on that. Let me see. Hang on.
I've not been following it that closely. Let me have a look as well. ASAP.
Let me see what I can do. Prosecution team, the ASAP Rocky Saltes take issue with rapper and Rihanna. So yeah, I will peruse this one. This is not on my radar. I'm sorry to say this. Let me see this. This is from, I'm reading. This is from this week. from E! News as the case against LSD. I can't keep track of the name.
He's accused of firing 2 shots at a former friend on a Hollywood street corner.
Oh, okay. Well, that's it.
But
Aggravated assault or something.
Supposedly he didn't do it. Rihanna's standing up for him, I think.
So are we talking like aggravated assault, attempted? I mean, gunshot cases are good because either you got somebody who saw him, or somebody who said I was there, and there was no such thing as that. And you got to ask yourself, do you really want to? You know what this reminds me of in a weird way? The Alec Baldwin case. This was a guy who was charged with criminal manslaughter, and he did actually fire the weapon but it was an accident. Why do you think they did that? Because he's Alec Baldwin. It was a terrible case, and I said from the beginning, and I can't stand Alec Baldwin. He's a great source of revulsion, but he wasn't guilty of criminal negligence. I said that from the beginning. He may be a lot of things, but this is ridiculous. You got to be able to look at the cases here. You got to ask yourself what's going on.
They offered him a plea bargain whereby he could have walked, and he said he's not done it, and now he's facing big time.
Well, when you say walk, what does it mean? Probation walk, bro? I mean, what is the term of this? Dismiss it?
ASAP, Rocky, plea bargain, like back time or some. Yeah. It was 180 days in prison. Mm-hmm. What's his plea deal? And now he's facing decades by going to trial. We've seen that before, where people think that they trust the justice system if they're innocent, and they refuse to sign for a little amount of time, and then they end up getting life off.
Oh, absolutely. Hang on. There's one thing. There are some cases where you can make a plea deal. There's a name of I can't remember the name of it. There's a particular name of it where you basically plead guilty, even though you didn't. Just say, all right, let's just be done with it. I'll take the sure thing, and So I don't know that one. That one I don't know. See, this is the one I've got to. I often learn another thing too is first I don't know enough about the case, so I don't want to talk about it because you sound like an idiot if you do. Number one. Number two, unless you're in that room, you don't know what you can't read the vibe. You can't read anything. You can't look and see how. I swear to you, I have walked into cases where I cannot believe. How do I say this? I walk in and I thought I knew what the case was. And then I see the jury and I realize that, and then I change 100%.
QQ wants to know, Lionel, if you are mocking the system for coming after Diddy because time is revealing nothing new.
Mocking the system is one thing. First of all, there's something wrong with the case when the feds are charging him for this, which amounts to basically a state case. That's number one. Number two, they're charging him with what? Conspiracy, racketeering, conspiracy. What? Where they created this idea where he lured people in and he promised them. I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute. This is not racketeering. Who is he conspiring with? Who is this racketeering enterprise with? It just, the whole case seems like it was stretching. And I think there's three or so counts, and one of them is, I don't think they mention any co-defendants. The case is just, it doesn't really, that's a state case. Let the state folks handle it. They're better. Have it in California, but federal racketeering? What? Now, I'll tell you one thing, which is the most, what is this? What is something about that?
What does Lionel think about the theory that Celebrity B may have put a spanner in the works by saying age is willing to testify?
I have no idea what that was. What is a spanner in the works? Is that a Brit phrase?
Yeah, a spanner in the works means putting something in the works that's going to sabotage it.
Oh, I like that. Oh, a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
The theory that Celebrity B may have put a pen in the works by saying age is willing to say. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what the end of that question means either, Jane. By saying age is willing to testify. Can anyone translate that, please? Or
In
if you'd like
English.
to
I get that
elaborate.
a lot. I get
on
that a lot sometimes. It's a good, listen, all I know is this. When you're going to bring a charge against somebody, you better be ready to go. You don't want to bring this case up and then later hope through some kind of finagling, and now we're going to get somebody to come in and say, no, you've got the case, you've got the women, here's what they look like, you've got some kind of corroboration, something. There was give you an example. We'll get to your transportation case in a moment, but let me give you an example of corroboration. There was a woman that sued President Trump. Her name is E. Jean Carroll. And she claims, this was a civil case, she claimed some type of untoward behavior that was assaultive. And one of the ways they corroborated it was a friend of hers said, I was at home and got a call from her at the time she said it happened. She was crying, saying this. And I said, well, you should call the police. At least there was kind of something there. Okay. Maybe. But you need corroboration. Sometimes there are people who, and the worst part about it is, and this is the worst part. Ladies, I want you to listen to me. I don't know how it is in your country, but in mine, the last thing in the world people want to do is to call the police, go to an emergency room. They want to forget things. They want to take a shower. They want to take a bath. Everything you're not supposed to do. And not in the case of, if I ask more women right now, how many of you during the course of your life, dating life, single life, remember an instance with a man where you're saying, I'm not sure if that qualifies, but that was weird. Or something even worse. I cannot tell you how many. So I don't know what. So remember this. The last thing you're thinking of is, well, why didn't you call the police? Call the police. It's not like somebody stole my wallet. People don't understand that. It's a different case. It's a different thing. You want to calm down. You feel, aside from being perhaps maybe embarrassed or whatever it is, you have to look at this. That's why the counselors are so important. We've got to make this very easy for women. Now, the problem also is in the case where there's no physical, you can say it was consent. I don't know what you're talking about. It's one thing when you got a broken jaw. It's another thing when you're saying, at the end, excuse me, you were on a date? Yes. And then they think you're attacking the woman. You're not. You're trying to understand the context of this. You're trying to, it's the worst case. It can be the worst case ever. Another one is the notion of, and this, let's assume, Sean, you were a single man out and about. Again, I don't know about your place, but you run into a woman who looks 40 years old. Everybody says, she's too old for you. She's 40 years old. Okay. And, it turns out she has a form of progeria. And she's not 40 years old. She's 16 years old, but she looks older. And even all of your friends said, she's too old for you. That's not true. She could be, what are you, dating your mom? Well, let's say for some particular reason okay. And there's no reason for you to be put on notice or to even think that maybe this person may be underage. And later on, sure enough, she's 16 years old, has a disease, progeria, right? Under our country, it's liability without fault, strict liability, statutory, and that's it. Period. What do you say? Better yet, next time you say, well, I'm not going to be burned. Show me your passport. Here it is. Show me here it is. Show me here's my deed. Okay, good. You have, and all of them are forged. Doesn't matter. liability without fault. Period. There's no way around it. There's nothing you can do. Let me go a step further in this weird one. Do you remember? Did you ever see the show called To Catch a Predator? It was on an NBC.
Yeah, we've had Chris Hansen on multiple times.
Oh yeah, I think we've talked about this. I got a big problem with that show.
Really?
Yeah, guy calls up. He says, "So, I'm. What is your name? I'm Big Daddy SA. And how old are you? I'm 12 years old." Well, the person you're talking to is a 45-year-old guy named Chick who's at a sheriff's office, and there's no kid. But you think there is. You think there is. I'm going to do this and that. But there's no kid. There's nobody there. Nobody there. But you think there is. You see where I'm going with this? You think. All right. So eventually you show up to this place thinking you're going to meet somebody, and there's nobody there. There's a guy there, and they arrest you. Why? Because you thought you were talking to a 12-year-old. You thought you were. And what's even weirder, in some jurisdictions, you could actually be standing next to a young person and say, "Hey, would you like to do this?" And that's not against the law. But if you do a computer, it is. And you figure that one out. Okay. Now, I'm not suggesting it because anybody who does this, chances are, has carried through with it, and these people are sick and they should be. But do you see where we're going with this? They thought there was. So let's see. Let's imagine. Let's say, Sean, God forbid, you lose your eyesight and you're blind. And one night you're out and you're drunk. You're blind drunk. You're walking around and you're gassed out of your mind and you're blind. And you think somebody's in front of you, but they're not. And you pull out a gun, you say, "Give me your money." There's nobody there. But a Bobby or whatever you call your cop, you get arrested. You get pinched for robbery, for thinking you were robbing somebody. But there was nobody there. But you thought there was. They wouldn't charge you with thinking you robbed somebody. "All right, give me your money." "Why, you blimey, give me your money." I don't know what that accent is, but does that make any sense to you? No. Well, what's the difference between...
Putting the legalistic side to the side for a moment, though, going back to Chris Hansen, if the cops were doing their bloody jobs, these people wouldn't be roaming around hitting on decoys. They'd be behind bars, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah, but I don't know how you're supposed to do their job unless you do that. I don't know.
It's not a priority for the police. That's what it is. Because it's not a priority for the police, other people have come in to pick up that slack.
Yes, but also it's because it's kitschy and it's weird. Now, what's the difference? What's the difference between that and a woman pretending she's a prostitute and trying to get you to make an offer to commit or a solicitation? And
you mean an adult woman? An adult woman? An adult woman?
Yeah, adult woman. Right.
Well, if someone is an adult woman and soliciting an adult man, it's a different thing than a kid, isn't it? Someone who thinks they're going to meet a kid.
Well, here's the difference. In our system, it is against the law to offer anybody money for that particular behavior, whether it's a pet, a woman, a child, anybody. So it doesn't really matter their actual status. If they really are one, it's against the law. It's not against the law to make a liaison. If you're in a corner, I know this sounds weird, but if you see a kid, you say, "Hey, want to come up to want to see my etchings?" Sure, Is that against the law? Not necessarily. You're just asking. So, but if I did that on a computer, it's against the law. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. I've told you this, what AI is going to do. You're going to find people who are eventually going to say, "I've got better stuff I can do with AI. I don't want pictures of real. I don't need this. I've got better pictures. I can go to Grok 4, Grok 5. Hey, draw me a picture of Sean with a cactus." And next thing you know, look at that. Oh my God. I'll take that. That looks better than a picture. Better lighting, better. Want me to change the attitude? Sure. Now, if I have that, if I'm in possession of that, and the theoretical picture, the age of this theoretical AI person is an infant. What am I in possession of? A sick thought? It's not real. The law doesn't know what to do with that. They're going to say, well, we can't let them get away with it. Why not? It's a thought. Yeah, but it's sick.